The story behind the verse. This episode, Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 217. 2:17. The Messenger of Allah sent Abdullah ibn Yash, the son of the Prophet's paternal aunt, in the month of Jamada II, along with 8 men from the emigrants, namely, Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas, Ukasha ibn Masan, Utbah ibn Ghazwan, Abu Udhayfa ibn Utbah, Suhail ibn Beda, Amir ibn Rabi'ah, Waqid ibn Abdullah, and Khalid ibn Bukhair. He wrote for their leader, Abdullah ibn Yash, some instructions, and said to him, "Go, by the name of Allah. But do not read the instructions until you have traversed a distance of 2 days' travel. Once you have traveled for 2 days, open the letter and read it to your fellow companions, after which you can proceed to what I have commanded you to do. Do not coerce any of your fellow companions to follow you." Abdullah traveled for 2 days, after which he dismounted and opened the letter. It read, "In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful." To proceed, keep going with the grace of Allah, along with whoever follows you from among your fellow companions, until you reach the valley of Nakhla. There, look out for the caravan of Quraysh, that haply you may bring us some news about it. When Abdullah read the letter, he said, "I hear and obey." After informing his fellow companions about the content of the letter, he told them that the Prophet instructed him not to coerce any one of them to follow him. But when they reached Medina, above Al-Firu, Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas and Utbah ibn Ghazwan lost a camel which they were trailing. They asked permission to stay behind to try to find their camel, and permission was granted to them. Abdullah proceeded with the rest of his fellow companions until they reached the valley of Nakhla, between Mecca and Medina. As they were waiting there, the camels of Quraysh, which were carrying raisins, tanned skins, and some of the merchandise of Taif, came their way. The Qurayshites who accompanied the caravan included Amr ibn al-Adrami, Al-Hakam ibn Kaysan, Uthman ibn Abdullah, and Nawfal ibn Abdullah. When these men saw the companions of the Messenger of Allah, they became scared. Abdullah ibn Yash said, "They are scared of you. Let one of you shave his head and then go to them. Once they see his shaved head, they will feel safe, thinking that we are pilgrims." They shaved the head of Akasha, who then went to them. When they saw him, they said, "These are pilgrims, no harm shall come to you," and felt safe. This was on the last day of Jamada II. But they were not absolutely certain whether it was the last day of Jamada II or the first day of Rajab. They deliberated with each other, and all agreed to attack the caravan. Waqid ibn Abdullah threw an arrow at Amr ibn al-Adrami and killed him. He was the first idolater to be killed by a Muslim. Al-Hakam and Uthman were taken prisoners. These were the first prisoners in Islam. Nawfal, on the other hand, escaped and could not be captured by the Muslims. The believers then led the camels and the 2 prisoners and went back to the Messenger of Allah in Medina. The Quraysh in Mecca cried, "Muhammad has violated the sacred month, a month in which the one who is fearful is safe in the period when people spread for their livelihoods. He has shed blood and taken other people's properties as booty in this sacred month." The people of Mecca heaved abuse at the Muslims who were still among them. They said, "O apostates! You have violated the sacred month by your engagement in fighting." When the Messenger of Allah heard of this, he said to Abdullah ibn Yash and his fellow companions, "I did not command you to fight in the sacred month, and he suspended his judgment concerning the captured caravan and the 2 prisoners. Those who took part in this military expedition were mortified. They thought they were doomed and felt utterly helpless. They said, "O Messenger of Allah, we killed Ibn al-Hadrami, and in the evening we saw the moon of Rajab. We do not know therefore whether we had killed him in the month of Jamada II or in Rajab." People debated this matter a great deal, and then Allah, exalted is He, revealed. They ask you, O Prophet, about fighting in the sacred months. Say, fighting during these months is a great sin. But hindering others from the path of Allah, rejecting Him, and expelling the worshippers from the sacred mosque is a greater sin in the sight of Allah. For persecution is far worse than killing. And they will not stop fighting you until they turn you away from your faith, if they can. And whoever among you renounces their own faith and dies a disbeliever, their deeds will become void in this life and in the hereafter. It is they who will be the residents of the fire. They will be there forever. At that point, the Messenger of Allah kept a fifth of the caravan. This was the first fifth ever taken in Islam, and divided the rest on those who took part in the military expedition. And this became the first booty ever captured in Islam. The people of Mecca then sent ransom for their prisoners. But the Prophet said, "No, we shall wait until Sa'ad and Utbah come back. If they fail to come back, we will kill the prisoners in retaliation." When Utbah and Sa'ad came back, the 2 prisoners were ransomed. As for Al-Hakam ibn Kaysan, he later embraced Islam and stayed with the Messenger of Allah in Medina. He was martyred in the Battle of Bir Mayuna. Uthman ibn Abdullah went back to Mecca and died there as a disbeliever. Nawfal had forced his horse, at the Battle of the Ditch, to jump over the ditch. He fell with his horse in the ditch, causing his death and the death of his horse. Allah, God Almighty, killed him there, and when the idolaters requested to retrieve his corpse in exchange for money, the Prophet said, "Take him. His corpse is vile, and his blood money is vile too." And that is the story of how the Creator revealed Surah Al-Baqarah verse 217 to the Prophet. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like and comment if you enjoyed the content.